Team Echo, come in. This is General Snake Vargas. Get to Caedo Genesis now. Vargas out.
Greetings, Ranger Recruits! Caedo Genesis here, bringing you the first of several guides for the new and improved Wasteland 2 Director's Cut. In this guide, I will show you the basics of creating your squad, as well as some tips to maximize their abilities in the Wastes. First, a primer. Your squad can consist of 1 to 4 recruits at the start of the game. After it begins, however, your maximum squad size will be 7. This allows for a broad variety of skill sets to be used over the course of the game. Unless you have a handle on the game already, it's a good idea to begin with a 4-man squad. Later, however, you may want to replace one of these 4 with someone who's more experienced. Also, you have the option of using the default squad if you'd like to skip the character creation process altogether. It is completely understandable if you want to just start playing, but making characters in your own way might better reflect your personal style of solving problems. With that out of the way, on to creating a squad. When creating a squad member, you first get to choose their icon, name, sex, age, religion, favorite brand of smokes, biography, and looks. Clothing chosen for your character can be switched out for other clothing items later in the game, and only your initial squad will be able to do this. There are also situations where your clothing might get burned off. Beyond visual appeal, clothing has no other effect, so don't worry about armor, that's a separate slot. After this, we move to stats. Now you're shown the most important part of character creation, choosing your attributes and skills. Before distributing points, check the derived stats and description at the bottom of the screen. Both of these and the tooltip that shows on the selected stats will tell you exactly what additional points will give you and what they affect specifically. To prevent confusion, I'll go over the derived stats first, as it'll tie into the skills as well. Action points are points that are spent for movement, attacks, crouching, looting, and precision strikes during combat. The ranged chance to hit bonus is an additional percentage directly added to your accuracy, most of which comes with the weapon you have equipped and skill. The critical chance is a percentage directly added to your chance to get a critical hit, which, like the ranged bonus, a large portion coming from equipment and skill. Combat initiative determines who goes first and how often in combat. Higher values means more turns for this character. Your chance to evade is a modifier that lowers enemies' accuracy by that percentage. Con, or Constitution, shows how much punishment your character can suffer before being knocked unconscious or killed. So it is your hit points, but there's a little more to it. It's also a determining factor on squad mates that are bleeding out, and how long they will survive in that state. Con per level is of course how many points of Constitution you'll get per level. As for combat speed, hand in hand with combat initiative, this determines the distance your character can cover with 1 action point in combat. In other words, how many tiles they will be able to walk over per action point used. Skill points per level and carry weight are pretty straightforward, both of them coming off of intelligence and strength directly. Did you get all that? Feel free to scan back if you need to. We're gonna move on. Now for the attributes, which uses the classic system: coordination, luck, awareness, strength, speed, intelligence, and charisma. Keep in mind, even though you have just a few points to distribute, every 10th level, 10, 20, 30, etc., you will gain 1 additional attribute point to spend. Starting with coordination, this is your stability and dexterity. It affects accuracy with ranged weapons and contributes to your action points. Luck increases your critical and evasion chance in combat, as well as a chance of additional action points per turn and an additional constitution point per level. Awareness is being steps ahead and paying attention to detail. It greatly raises your combat initiative, gives a decent bonus to evasion chance, and a small increase to your character's vision range. Strength is broad, just like your soon-to-be pack mule's muscles. It primarily raises carry weight, constitution values, and melee critical hit damage, with small bonuses to action points and standard melee damage. Speed is all about running circles around your adversaries and directly affects combat speed, which is how many tiles you can move per action point, as stated before, and along with that is additional initiative and evasion with a small boost to your total action points. Intelligence is everything you would expect. If you'd like to have a skilled character, this is directly related to skill point gain per level, with a minuscule amount of bonus action points. And finally, charisma, which isn't as much of a dump stat as you would expect, but it can prove advantageous up until the very end of the game. First, it directly affects the radius of the leadership skill. More on that later. Second, decent squad-wide charisma values are required to gain certain recruits out in the Wasteland. Third, the rate of non-combat experience is increased for this character. So say you're creating a deadly sniper, high coordination, awareness, decent speed, and maybe a little luck will make them quick, accurate, and attentive. Maybe you want someone who can take some punishment, get in close and squash the puny raider that ate his dog. High strength, speed, fair luck, and a little awareness equals crushing all in an efficient, if not bloody manner. How about a jack of all trades with a silver tongue? You'll want high intelligence intelligence, awareness, and some charisma to help avoid a conflict altogether or give you otherwise unseen rewards. These are only suggestions. Play around with the attributes until the character feels right, and keep an eye on the derived stats to make sure they are where you want them. For your character skills, you have 3 categories: combat, knowledge, and general skills. 12 points are given to spend on skills at the start, but each rank starts at a cost of 2 and will increase over time. I suggest choosing 3 skills at the start, which can be expanded later, of course. Combat skills choose the role you want your character to play in combat. Ammunition will be scarce at the beginning, so it's not recommended to have a squad that all uses the same type of firearm. First is assault rifles, the ranger's bread and butter. They are easy to maintain and upgrade, provide mid to long range coverage, and some can toggle between single shot and burst fire modes. For bladed weapons, blades are all about their critical hits, and plentiful in the wastes early on. If not chosen for any of your squad at the start, it would be a good idea to put 1 rank in bladed weapons in case enemies get too close for comfort. Blunt weapons are recommended for the brutes of the squad. While the critical chance is low and AP cost is high, blunt weapons serve as great equalizers, provided you can score a hit. As for brawling, fisticuffs is sometimes the way to go. Unlike some larger blunt and bladed weapons, fists cannot be used diagonally in combat. With their low AP cost, however, you can get in quick and try for a critical hit on your adversaries before they're even given a chance to move. For the obscure energy weapons, a less than conventional weapon skill, an energy weapon's damage is greatly determined by an enemy's armor and whether or not it's conductive. Not many foes you come across will be wearing heavy armor in Arizona, so this is a skill best saved for later, or honey badgers. Energy weapons also cannot score a critical hit, but they also never jam. Handguns are your trusty ranger sidearm. Probably the easiest ammunition you'll come across will be for handguns. They can be fired multiple times during a turn, have a high critical chance but low armor penetration. As for heavy weapons, pure annihilation is their role. Hefting around a minigun or heavy machine gun can slow your character and make them less accurate. The AP costs will be high, but so will the damage and armor penetration. Shotguns are your crowd dispersal device. Unlike all other weapon types, shotguns will fire in a cone, making it the easiest weapon to hit multiple enemies at a time, minus using explosives. Most shotguns have low armor penetration and cannot use precision strikes as a trade-off. On the other side of that coin, sniper rifles are a scout's best friend. Sniper rifles have high damage, the longest range, and decent armor penetration. With mid to high AP costs, however, it may take multiple turns to get into position and pull the trigger, but the stopping power will be worth it. And finally, submachine guns. These help fill the gap between short and mid-range, increasing in accuracy as enemies close in. SMGs cannot use precision strikes, but are quote-unquote cheap to operate. It's all a matter of preference for the weapon skills. Moving on to knowledge skills. The knowledge skills are for solving technical and medical hurdles throughout the game. Though it is tempting, try not to spread out ranks too much in these skills because you may find yourself inexperienced in all of them after a certain point. We begin the knowledge skills with alarm disarming, which is the simple act of disabling alarms that can prevent a lot of grief when accessing well-protected objects and structures. But if you have the firepower, setting off an alarm isn't the worst thing that could happen. Computer science has a broad range of uses, not just for accessing computers, but safes and doorways with electronic panels. Later on, you can even reprogram robots to fight on your side. Demolitions is the art of disabling landmines and other various explosive booby traps. It works best when combined with perception because you need to notice the bombs before you can disarm them. One of the most important skills to have is the ability to stay alive in the harsh wastes. Field Medic does just that. You'll find plenty of medic packs throughout the Wasteland and make great use of them with this skill, guaranteed. As for lockpicking, dexterity is sometimes preferred over force. It's a staple skill for acquiring more loot and gaining entry to otherwise inaccessible places and things. As for mechanical repair, everyone needs a Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It sometimes. While not described in detail, treat this as a skill that affects things with moving parts. This includes locking mechanisms. So if your lockpicking expert broke a lock, you can repair it to give them another chance. Safe cracking spells more access means more loot. Very similar to lockpicking, but more focused on heavily protected safes and entryways. Alongside Field Medic, Surgeon is yet another important skill for any squad that wishes to survive in this harsh world. Surgeons can revive fallen squad mates both in and outside of combat, as well as administer cures for various status effects like blood loss and disease. And last of the knowledge skills is Toaster Repair. Perhaps the most important skill. Not really. Well, if you like extra rewards, it's nice. Throughout the world, you'll find broken toasters. Repairing them will sometimes reward you with the strangest items, like hemorrhoid cream, or a can of spray paint, or dandruff shampoo. Yes, those are all actual items, but someone is bound to have a use for them. On to the last category, general skills. General skills are a good way of topping off an already decent squad. with skills that give them that extra edge in combat during survival situations, or when interacting with NPCs and animals, which will start us off with Animal Whisperer. If you've ever wanted to be one with nature, this is the way to do it. With this skill, you can tame domesticated and wild animals and even force them to flee in combat, honey badgers included, and animals that decide to join you will give this squad mate a passive bonus. You have to get your equipment somehow. A decent barter skill will get you the best deals on premium gear. You'll notice the bonus is extremely low. That is because this is a squad-wide bonus. For best results, it's good to have this on multiple squad mates or spend points elsewhere. Elsewhere possibly being brute force. Can't get through a door? Kick it down. Better yet, make one. Brute force is the skill to use when a large tub of elbow grease is called for. For the more social approach, you have hard ass, kiss ass, and smart ass. These three are very similar in how they operate. Don't underestimate the power of words. These skills can lead to impressive rewards, prevent brawls, and yield important information, and are displayed as red, green, and blue prompts during dialogue with NPCs. Leadership. As stated before, this is the only skill directly affected by an attribute. Choosing this, your character's ability to lead will have your squad working as a unit in combat, increasing accuracy of those nearby, and reducing the chances of hired recruits going rogue in a fight. Charisma increases this skill's area of effect. Outdoorsman has a very simple description. You will be doing a lot of traveling in the wastes, best be prepared, and if you're not, you have a higher chance of success for avoiding those pesky random encounters. And unless there's a specific object that requires outdoorsman skill, random encounters is the most use you will get out of it. And having it may mean life or death later. Perception is rather important, and is the all-around detection skill. With this, you'll find booby traps, secret passages, and things otherwise missed at a glance. It's a good idea pairing this with demolitions and alarm disarming, if not both. Lastly, for the general skills is weaponsmithing, the ultimate in equipment upkeep. A weaponsmith can salvage important parts such as magazines, scopes, and grip tape from unused weapons to be attached to others. In turn, this can prevent weapons from jamming, increase their range, lower AP costs, and much more. Now that we've gone over the skills in depth, let's go over what these little diamond symbols mean. Perks are a new feature in the director's cut. They serve as extra incentive to invest into specific skills and give impressive bonuses as a result. Every 4th level, your squad mate will receive a perk point, being level 4, 8, 12, 16, etc. There's a few default perks to choose from, but notice the diamonds on certain ranks of each skill? Each of those marks a perk that you can unlock with that skill. For example, using that point on a perk from the leadership skill can make your leadership radius reduce enemy accuracy alongside raising your allies' accuracy. And another example, in demolitions, there's a perk that gives a chance to salvage explosives from disarming traps, and we could all do with more explosives. If you enjoy particular skills, you're bound to get perks that will enrich that experience. Now for the last part of character creation. Along with perks, quirks are another new feature in Director's Cut. These are wildcards. While many quirks have distinct advantages, their trade-offs help keep the balance. There are many to choose from, so choose what balances or severely unbalances your recruits to keep things interesting. If you don't want the additional stress of being struck by lightning, fainting mid-fight, or not being able to self-heal, it's completely within your power to pass on these for now. But they do keep things interesting, let me tell you. And that is Squad Creation, Ranger Recruits. Best to experience your choices made here out in the wastes. Don't let anything I've said stop you from exploring your options. I simply serve as a guide. If you have any tips you'd like to add, fill up that comment section with what you've learned, because we share the same wasteland, why not help each other out? If you found this guide useful, entertaining, or a little bit of both, you know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. This is Caedo Genesis, and may you bring wasteland justice wherever you travel.